Okay, I'd like to introduce a couple of terms here. There's a term called SEM. This is called search engine marketing. So in fact, many of the internet companies have positions where they have a separate SEM team or a search engine marketing team, and the responsibility of this team is to understand how search engines rank advertisements. Okay, to understand how search engines rank advertisements, and then to decide what should be the strategy for buying keywords so that the right kind of traffic is obtained from different search engines for the company's website. Okay, so the job of an SEM engineer is primarily to increase the traffic, especially traffic where the customers have a clear intent. Okay, not random kind of a traffic, but traffic where customers have clicked on keywords of interest to them and come onto the website of this company. So that is done by an SEM team. Um, Here's a question for you. Suppose you are an advertiser who has bidded on keywords on, say, Google, and let's say you have a very malicious competitor who wants to spoil or foil your plan for getting more traffic. So, is there something simple he could do to basically make sure that you lose a lot of money in your SEM campaigns?
So he could buy the keywords most relevant to you at by paying a high price, so that causes a loss in terms of customers not coming.
Yeah, but that's provided that he is also willing to. Um, I mean, if he buys the keywords at too high a price, then he would himself have to face some kind of a loss, right? Let's say he knows what keywords you've bidded on, and let's say he's not going to buy them. Could he still make you lose money in some way?
So he could search for that a lot, and then you would have to pay one. Like you would search for the keywords again and again repeatedly, maybe
Hmm.
using a program of some sort, and like if it's a CPM model or so
Yeah,
it could be.
CPC. Let's go by a CPC model since we're talking about search.
So if he could manually or like click those things, or like you could programmatically make sure that those links are clicked
Yeah,
many
yeah,
times.
yeah. So that's a simple thing that they could try to do. They could, build some kind of a program that will go out and search for the same keywords and then click on your advertisements. And obviously these are false clicks, right? They are not going to end up in any kind of a transaction, but you will end up paying money to Google because, every time you're paying on a cost per click basis. And so, one of the things that has to happen here is that Google needs to be able to detect such kind of malicious clicking. Okay, this is something called a click spam. Okay, where people just randomly click on particular advertisements either to make the person pay, if they are against the person, or in some cases they may also do it to benefit someone, right? If you're running an AdSense program, for example, then you could ask people to come to your site more often and just you know click on the Google ads just for the sake of it, so that you can increase more revenue. So obviously, search engines have strategies to detect this kind of, uh, you know, to detect click spams and to deal with it. And obviously, spammers will try to modify their strategy so that they can, uh, they can still continue to do what they want in spite of this. There's another term called search engine optimization. or abbreviated as SEO. Right, you can see that we are learning many abbreviations in this particular class, but these are all important abbreviations in the industry in case you want to, in case you ever end up working in an internet company. So SEO, or search engine optimization, deals with how you can construct your website so that your website ranks highly in the algorithmic search rankings. Okay, not in the ads portion of the results, but in the algorithmic portion of the results. So for example, allergy medicine, right? Uh, so there, you can see a number of websites here, and you can see that some of the companies here are appearing not in the ads section, but in the main the main list of ranked results. These are not ads; these are algorithmic results, and they also sell products. Now, where would a company like to appear preferably? Here or here? If you're a company, where would you like your results to appear? In the ad section or in the the algorithmic search section? And
So in the
why?
search, there might be in the search section
Hmm.
because as it's ranked among the top most, so people will most likely visit my link and they would like to know more about allergy medicine that I provide from my company.
Yeah. So that's one reason. One reason is that people are more likely to click on these results than on the ads because they know the ads are ads. So you would probably get more traffic this way. Any other reason? How much are you paying Google
Nothing, sir.
to? Yeah, you're not paying anything to Google for these results. So effectively what's happening is that you're getting free traffic. Okay. Whereas to have your ads appear over here in the ad section, you have to pay Google
So,
for on a
so,
per click basis. Yeah.
is there also a tendency in people to trust the algorithmic search results more than the ad results because they may think that okay they are paying for it, therefore they're putting it. Whereas if it turns up in the search section, they may think it's actually relevant.
Cut off.
Hello.
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Sir, like, is there also a tendency for most people to think that if it's turning up in the search section, it is actually relevant, whereas in the ad section, they may think, okay, it's coming just because Google is paying for it, or getting paid for it rather.
Yeah. Yeah. So people tend to trust algorithmic results more. That's true. That's related to the first point. And as a company, uh, you would ideally want your pages to be ranked high because this is the way in which you can get free traffic without having to pay Google anything. So how do you design your website such that you can appear high in Google's list of ranked results on different keywords? Okay, so obviously you'll again have to think about it from a keyword perspective because you're not going to appear on any random query, right? You'll have to particularly uh, target certain keywords and make sure that for those particular keywords, your website has a high enough authority or quality as well as relevance to that query such that Google's ranking will take care of it. In fact, what many times happens is that um, people also try to spam this, right? So you have people who create these spam websites which are filled with all kinds of junk keywords, um, which will try to bias the search engine rankings so that they get an artificially high score and they appear near the top, because once they appear near the top, then customers can actually uh, land up for free on their website. Now, uh, it's not necessary that people who do this will want to displease the customers who are clicking on those results and arriving at the website. Because you could do it this way also. You could make sure that the spam keywords that are there on your web page are all in white font, right? So the customer wouldn't even come to know that he or she is visiting this junk website. Although of course one other possibility is that you could fill your page with all kinds of junk advertisements, and if the user is foolish enough to click on any of them, then you'll get you'll make money out of it. So obviously there's a lot of economic incentive to appear high in Google's search rankings. In fact, companies could get destroyed just by a change in the way Google ranks the results, right? Because if a company was so dependent on being ranked high on certain keywords, and if their ranking algorithms change, then they could put entire, again, local businesses out of business. Um, so in the early days of the internet, there was a company called goto.com. How many of you have heard of it? You can raise your hands. Okay, not many, I guess. So in my college days, this was in around 98, 99, goto.com was pretty popular. In fact, I used to go to it more often than to any other website, any other search engine. What they used to do was their search results were purely based on advertisements. Whereas you had companies like Google and Alta Vista, whose search results were purely based on algorithms. Okay, in the early days. So goto.com, I think Bill Gross, who was the founder of goto.com, he was the one who first figured out how to make money on the internet using advertisements. Because before goto.com, people used to just use the CPM model, the cost per 1,000 impressions model, just to get random traffic. Right? They would pay these popular websites, CNN, AOL, and so on, very high for uh, just showing their ads. But the traffic that would come to their website would not be specific traffic. It would not be, people who are specifically interested in that particular website. They just happen to click on it, click on the ads, and come there. Whereas goto.com pioneered this particular strategy of bidding on keywords, or bidding on search keywords, and then showing ads that are relevant to the keywords. In fact, their results themselves were based on who would pay the highest bid for different keywords. So the ranking function that they used was based purely on how different websites bidded on different keywords. Whereas Google and Alta Vista focused more on the content and the user experience. And finally, goto.com, which was changed into the company called Overture and finally bought by Yahoo, sort of didn't do as well as Google. They did reasonably well, but even though they pioneered this model of online advertising, uh, there were some mistakes they did, which because of which they couldn't be what Google is today. And what Yahoo did was they also bought this other company called Inktomi, which was another very popular search engine that was ranking results based on algorithms. And Yahoo combined Inktomi's algorithmic search with goto.com's or Overture's paid advertisement results by creating this kind of an interface where you have both algorithmic results being displayed and ad-based results being displayed. And that is what Google also did. Of course, they had their own way of coming up with these advertised results. And so initially, if you look at Sergey Brin and Larry Page's paper, they were very averse to having results being based on who has paid more for different keywords. They were really against it when they published their original paper on PageRank in 1998. But then they couldn't come up with any other business model. And finally, if you have to make money, this was actually the model that was proven by goto.com to be successful and Google also adopted this model. So one last thing I want to ask you is, how do you think will advertisements be indexed in the same way that will they be indexed in the same index, do you think, as the ranked results, or how would you incorporate as an IR system designer advertisements? How would you be displaying and ranking them? What sort of based on whatever we discussed in the last 7 or 8 chapters, what would be a high level overview of how you would
So,
display advertisement? Yeah.
so maybe there's no need to index all the words in this case, like only the relevant words, like the keywords that they've paid for, you can index those.
Hmm. And will this be a separate index, do you think?
Um, so maybe so. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so there is usually a separate index called the ad index where the advertisements are indexed and the query is submitted to both indexes, right? If you recall that diagram from at the end of chapter 7 where we had 4 different indexes. Likewise, you could have another another index just for just for storing advertisements. And then you would rank advertisements not based on the proximity of the query. Of course, that would be one way, but also based on what the advertisers have bidded on. Okay, how much are they willing to pay for different keywords? Those advertisers who are willing to pay more for a keyword will get a higher score. But again, this is only one of the scores. There will be other scores. Like for example, if a particular advertiser has proven himself or herself to be a reliable company, customers who go to their websites have are more satisfied with their products, then that is another score that Google would incorporate to rank those advertisers highly. So it's not just based on who is willing to pay the most, but a combination of scores, just like our algorithmic ranking that we discussed in chapters 6 and 7, where we didn't just have the query document proximity score, but also scores like the authority of a document and the query term proximity, how closely the different terms of a query appear, and so on. So think about that a little bit more. Uh, any other questions? I think we're out of time.